Hi there, I'm Richard Watts. I'm Chief Exec at Change Creation. I'm Co-Director at Change Creation and Chief Exec at People Make It Work. And today I wanted to think a little bit about inequality and the ways in which the current COVID-19 crisis might be exacerbating rather than ameliorating the social and economic inequality that is linked to cultural provision in 21st century United Kingdom. So at this moment, it's really easy for all of us, isn't it, to be feeling like our first response needs to be to safeguard our people, safeguard our buildings and collections, safeguard our charitable organisation and its cash flow. And I think that's entirely right, that we pay due prominence to that. Without a focus on those things, we might not have any organisation to create benefits for our beneficiaries over longer term. But I think it's also hugely important that we recognise that the current cultural sector that existed at the beginning of this year wasn't ideal, wasn't well balanced, and wasn't equitable. That the culture sector as it stands breeds inequality, reinforces inequality, and puts up conscious and unconscious barriers to engagement. That it preferences the elite, that it celebrates the obtuse, and that it preferences the past over the present, and that it disempowers and underrepresents the creative voices and cultural insights of the underprivileged within our communities. So the cultural sector that we need to protect isn't the one we had, it's the one we dream of. And that means making decisions today, during our crisis, that shape the future cultural sector. It means making decisions that don't reinforce the status quo, but do forge new opportunities, do generate new power relationships that do help to decolonize our collections and programs, and to enable the everyday creative and cultural lives of our nation in all of its communities to be better represented within our cultural institutions. And so I'm calling on all of us to look at these changes through that lens, along with those ones that are about financial survival, along with those that are about responsible management of our resources, but recognise the cultural sector that we want to protect has not yet been created. And that if we end up at the end of this crisis securing what we had, we've missed an opportunity and we've baked in privilege. I think it's really likely that those who are from low socioeconomic backgrounds and who found it more difficult to both experience the support that the privileged get, experience barriers to engagement, and experience barriers to both representation within collections and programs, and having their active employment and participation. Those people and communities are most likely to have been worst affected by this pandemic, both medically and socially and economically. And that the cultural sector that emerges from this process needs to find new ways to connect with those places and communities, and new ways to generate content, to generate experiences, and to reflect meaningful life experiences in our creative collections, programs, and activities of the future. Thank you very much for bearing with me, and I hope that you find something useful in that thought for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.